First took over, the cupboards were bare. That's probably the phrase that I've used the most with my friends. 14 players were on the roster. One was probably a lower level Division I athlete, and then everybody else was Division II or Division III. So knowing that I came in July 1 of 2010, we were starting preseason August 6th. So I had just over 4 weeks to sort of, find some players. So anybody that wrote me that said, hey, I'm coming to school here, I've played soccer, I would have to invite them to preseason. And we got the roster that year, I think, up to 17 or 18 players. So it was more of figuring out where we were and then sort of devising a game plan of how are we going to build this program. It took the better part of 5 years to establish a culture, a foundation, but right away they haven't really been held accountable before this. I remember the very first practice when I said, okay, well, we're gonna have this training session, and they literally showed up 5 minutes before we were supposed to start and weren't ready, didn't have anything on, and so it just sort of gave me a little bit of insight as to how they saw themselves. And so right away we established a lot of ground rules to implement and sort of redirect their focus into considering themselves a serious Division I soccer player. Yeah, we have a phrase and it's called all in, and I think everybody's all in. The commitment level is high. It's night and day now. We have the energy on the team is great. It's competitive. Every session is competitive. Back in the day when you only had 17 players, you pretty much knew the same players were going to play over and over and over. We now have a bigger roster. We have an enormous amount of depth. On the season, we saw a number of different players that were in and out of the starting lineup. And so it has enormously changed. The players now establish their own rules. They have to run it by the coaches, but we have a true leadership system where the captains and the upperclassmen or the leaders of the team sort of police themselves, and I have to worry less about things and focus more on the X's and O's and the scouting and the recruiting and the things that it really takes to come in and get more wins on the year. We're so nutty. It's like the best. It's the best part of my day is spent with the team. That has not changed. So we get together. We are goofy in the beginning. We like to have a good time. We sing. We dance. We poke fun at each other on the field, off the field. They can be found together. I tell my recruits all the time that if we have an off day, chances are players are together, they're going over to somebody's apartment and they're cooking, they're making dinner, they're watching TV, they're doing homework. It truly, truly, truly is a family environment, and I've really been mindful to create that. I'm so big on family myself, and a lot of players that we recruit have that same sort of closeness, and so I figure if you trust each other off of the field, you're going to be better on the field. And players are used to sort of that connectedness with their families. So we just really have tried hard to create that culture as well, and it's really taken off. And the players are now responsible for strengthening that component on their own, and that's been, I think that's been one of the most topics that come up when players come to visit is how close and what a family really that it feels like. Like I said, it's pretty cool to stand where I stand and watch players come in as a freshman and to see the evolution of a young adult, from their confidence, the way they carry themselves, their interests, their views, all of that is very cool for me on, my job is to have a positive effect on it, but also their teammates' job, and how that has changed. So it's been a great process, and I'm looking forward to many